at least on Zoom. So we are with Tyler Nelson, a
Howdy.
very successful arbitrage, both retail and online arbitrage seller. Um, it's good to have you, man.
Oh, it's good to be on with my northern neighbors.
Do you want to start by telling us your story?
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you, because you have a very interesting one. So
To go into it very briefly, I started selling when I was 17 in 2011. Uh, apparently, it didn't require identity verification back then, so I was able to start selling. And because of that, starting selling in 2011, I have daily payouts. But I was selling from Alaska, so I didn't do any FBA until 2004, beginning of 2014. But when I started doing FBA, sales went up. But the problem with FBA from Alaska is the same as from Canada. There's no partnered shipping rates. So I use what are called large flat rate boxes. They're about they're square like this, about this big. Perfect height to put video games and DVDs and things like that. But I could fit about 36-ish video games, depending on if they were like the PS3, PS4, or the 360 Wii or whatever. Depended on that. So I sold a lot of media, a lot of books because I got to ship via media mail. But one of those boxes was $17 to ship 36 video games. So I talked with Beaver, and I was paying roughly the same as he was paying from Nova Scotia, although he had to deal with duties and things like that, which I didn't. But
I
after
think,
doing that,
to give you an idea, I think it looks something like this.
uh, it's more square. It's about the same length as the short side and taller.
A little bit taller.
About the same cubic space though.
Yeah, so it would be something like this. It'd be $17, and we pay probably around the same, maybe a little cheaper if we're shipping a lot of stuff at once, but it's the same challenge.
It was extremely. I thought it was cheap to be able to ship books because I could ship 50 pounds of books, $35 with media mail. But I did that until the end of 2015. At the very beginning of 2016, I moved to Wisconsin, which is where I was born and raised. I moved to Alaska the day after I turned 16. And so I moved back, and it was like this whole new frontier where I thought looking at all these people like, oh, I found a Walmart clearance aisle. I bought 7 carts of stuff. I thought it would be so easy, and it really wasn't. I had to learn a lot of things. I had to learn how to source new categories. Like I walk into a clearance section, I'm like, I don't know how to source garden, but that's where Keepa comes in. I already knew how to read a Keepa chart, so I was good to go. I didn't make a whole lot of mistakes with categories other than clothing and shoes, but I didn't really get very deep into that. And then I later changed my business model up around the end of 2016, where I just wanted to get rid of ones and twos. And I've been following on that track ever since. I do a lot of replens. It's probably about 80% of my business is either replens or something I'm hoping is a replen. And probably 2 or 3 out of every 10 items I sell, or that I buy for the first time, I don't replen. I'll lose a little bit or break even. But it's the stuff that I keep being able to sell again and again and again. That's how I make my money. And that's how I keep my prep help busy. I currently have 3 preppers. They don't all spend all their time prepping. One of them spent 2 hours today to drive to a store about almost an hour away and back to pick up 200 boxes of facial tissue, I'll say. Doing this for pickup. So they'll do things like that. I have a company SUV that 2 of them are on the policy for, so they'll run errands for me. They'll do cardboard recycling for me. Once or twice a month, I'll fill up an 6 by 10 trailer completely full of cardboard. And they'll also help me with sourcing. One of them, Jasper, the guy that does most of the driving, will drive me around doing RA if there's a lot of time on the road, because then the time I spend doing OA while he drives is more than enough to pay for his help. So tomorrow, him and John, so 2 of the 3 guys, I'll be taking to a local grocery store, and we're going to spend probably half the day just scanning groceries to develop new replens and possible wholesale leads with the stuff that works out from doing RA. Just really, really boring grocery stuff. Most of the stuff I sell is extremely boring, but boring is profitable.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on replens, like what you look for as like a criteria?
The criteria is pretty loose. Rank doesn't mean much. It's more competition I care about. If there's no FBA sellers on a grocery product, it's ranked 250K. It's sold 4 times in the last 3 months per Keepa. That could simply be because it's too expensive. You scan something, it's a $4 jar of peanut butter, and it's ranked 250K at $30. There have been 4 drunk or just stupid people, or people that really wanted that $30 jar of peanut butter, but you price it down to 13. Well, any groceries under 15. I know dealing from Canada to the United States, there's some issues with groceries, but if you're doing away with groceries with a prep center, any groceries under $15 they only charge 8% instead of 15. Mm-hmm. So anything under $17, anything between 15 and 17, for example, I'll automatically price down to 15. But what I'll see with groceries a lot is people are willing to pay $13 for that jar at a far higher velocity. And I send it in, and then I find that I'm selling 20 a month instead of the 3 or 4 that was at just the crazy, stupid high price. And most of this I do with TA, but I have this local grocery store it's the largest grocery store I've ever been to. But unlike a Costco or Sam's, they sell things in normal quantities, and they sell things that I've never seen anywhere else. A lot of organic, gluten-free, vegan, paleo, whatever the trendy diets are. They have an entire section devoted to that stuff, and that stuff is awesome.
So would you say that a large, or I guess for a lot of your replens, they're going to be new listings that you're setting up?
Not necessarily listings I've created. So far, I've created 1 listing that was wholesale, but there's a couple things sitting around where my preppers are like, "Hey, we don't have a listing for that. We've looked. You've looked. There isn't a listing. We need you to." My preppers are like, "Get this out of the house." I'm the messy one in some aspects with that. So there's a few listings I need to create, but most of the time it's just taking a listing that is horrible due to lack of FBA people at a reasonable price, sometimes combined with just being a horrible listing. There's a lot of listings that I can tell have been created by Chinese dropshippers just due to poor English. A lot of them, all the description says, it'll be the exact same thing. It says like high quality product, or a variation of that on just some random groceries. And I see that they're selling 27,000 SKUs, all merchant fulfilled. A lot of these listings that they've created because they're drop shipping exclusives from other online retailers that can't be found anywhere else. So I'm basically taking over what the drop shippers are doing, but with FBA, and improving the listings to the point that you don't need to drop ship the product to make sales.
So how often would you say that you are going in to improve the listing?
About 25% of the time.
Okay.
So there's some cases that get opened. Most of them are pretty quick. Sometimes it's changing the category. Like they'll put something in office. If $13 jar of peanut butter or whatever, you move it from office over to grocery, and then the fees get cut in half. So that's another way to make money, is to make sure things are properly categorized.
I just want to make a quick mention about the $15 grocery item. Mm-hmm. I think that was an invite-only program to existing sellers. So if you're opening a new Amazon account, or you're just getting to the .com platform and you haven't really sold grocery, you might not have that.
Yeah, it is true. It's something to look into. I know RevSeller has it automatic now, which is just what I use. But it's great. I wish they would do that for health and beauty, because I sell more health. Last year, I think 40% of my sales were health.
Wow.
So they've overtaken it.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about your sourcing strategy. So when you say you go into a store, what does that mean you do? Do you just go in and take your phone and start scanning every single thing?
It depends on the store. If it's a grocery store, which is just something I've recently started, I have to blame Chris Anderson for that. It's like going through and looking. But when you're in the store, if you find something, it looks kind of break even-ish, and it's really a good product, and you can tell that people, other people are dealing with it. Try searching for the brand name, and then the product, and see what bundles pop up. That's something that TA is not going to find a bundle like that. So it's something you have to do with manual searching, whether you do it in store or online. But most of my searching is with TA.
So instead of scanning, you're more just typing the name of the actual product.
It's one thing that you can do, and then I'm trying to turn this then even further into wholesale. I kind of treat my wholesale I call it advanced arbitrage. It's because you're taking advantage of, the price difference between buying direct from the manufacturer and what people are doing on Amazon. So I still think it's arbitrage. I'm not doing a crazy amount of it. I'm not all 100% wholesale like Chris Potter is. I'm not sure if you're going to have him on or whatnot. But basically, we're all here to buy something cheap and to sell it for more money. And I do mine with Walmart and Target. Those I can only do in store right now because I've been banned. I've been banned from them online. There's like nine different places I've been banned from online. That will be changing as I'll be moving shortly. I'm not sure exactly where, but I'll be getting an actual warehouse instead of a second house that I prep out of. So I'll be able to do LTL and all.
Are all of Tyler? Are all of your bans due to just buying too much inventory?
Excessive ordering. I got banned over the Black Friday weekend, even from Walmart. I tried buying, it was 1,500 or 2,000 things. It was a lot of stuff, and it was like 100 at a time, and they didn't like that. It made it so that normal people couldn't buy, they said. I got a lot of cancellation emails, and they all had just this link to their terms of service involving bulk sales. I can't even buy peanut butter online from Walmart anymore.
Tragedy.
While we're there, do you want to talk about your prep house instead of
so the prep house is what we call it. Other people have called it the trap house or whatnot. But I rent another townhouse half a mile down the road. Has a 2-car garage. It's 1,800 square feet. There's one bedroom upstairs, and then there's a living room, which I'm in right now. The living room is where the prep is mostly happening right now due to the fact that the garage is unheated, and there's no cost-effective, safe way to heat the garage above about 45 degrees right now due to the cold outside and the relative lack of insulation in the garage. So we have 2 small electric heaters that are blowing right now out there to keep it above freezing. But right now it's about 40 degrees, and my prep help, they don't like polybagging in 40 degrees. So they do it all here in the warmth of the living room. And then the wall behind me, on the other side of that wall, is a bedroom that I run my office out of, and they throw all the returns in there for me to deal with and procrastinate on. And then the 2 bedrooms downstairs, one of my preppers lives rent-free in exchange for just being around for things to be delivered. And one of his friends, it's a mutual friend, just also uses the other room and I'm cash out of the deal. But he'll be moving out March 1st, and another friend that's working for me and living on my couch due to moving up here very drastically in December will be moving in. And then in April, we're moving somewhere else. We're not sure yet. We're basing the moving decision upon where I can get a good warehouse and where my preppers, that all 3 of them are actually willing to move with me, as long as they don't veto the location. It'll be somewhere in the state of Wisconsin.
Do you want to talk about your decision to get a second townhouse instead of a warehouse?
Here in Eau Claire, there's just not really good commercial property. There's a ton of residential stuff due to the fact that it's a college town. There's just a ton of houses and whatnot for rent, but there's just not any good, reasonably priced commercial property that fits my needs. I had rented about 700 or 800 square feet from a local small business for 6 months, but it really wasn't worth it for what I was paying. But it helped me transition from moving out of working and living out of a house to getting into the prep house. Because the house that I moved into after my lease was up for the first year of being in Wisconsin, it just didn't work for FBA, and so I got a roommate at first, and another one. It's a great house for living, a wonderful house, really big. It just sucks for FBA due to the fact that EPS doesn't like driving to it. It's a very narrow. It's narrow and up a hill, and so they have to drive in and then back out about 100 feet. So they hate it. But half a mile down the road, I got another townhouse with the two-car garage and all the upstairs space with a more open layout. And it works great for prep. I've been able to get pallets delivered. I wanted to get a pallet jack and do some pallets out of here. And my prep help was like, we don't have enough space in the garage for that. And we don't want to work outside because it's Wisconsin. So until I get a warehouse, we won't be doing any outbound LTL, and that's why I want to. But as an intermediate position, this prep house has been great. It's been affordable, and it's half a mile down the road. As a result of it, I have a car that all I've really ever done is driven it here and back. And the fuel economy says it's like horrible. It's like it's a Chevy Malibu that's supposed to get 30 miles per gallon. It says my fuel economy is like 19 miles per gallon because all I do is drive it half a mile and back.
So how important do you think it is for someone to get a dedicated space for prepping? Because I did exactly what you did, right? I prepped out of my room, and then somewhere along the way, I got a storage unit, which is kind of like your prep house. And the difference for me has been day and night, you know?
For me, it's largely a mental thing. I don't do a lot. I'll do some work over at my house, but it consists of me laying on my bed just with a laptop. That's the only work I do over there. Any other time I'm there, I'm not working at all. Whereas when I live where I work, it's like work. There's always work. And like, I mean, I do still work a ton. I've been up since 4:30 a.m., working since 5. Took a 2-hour break this afternoon. I literally went home and played video games and watched an episode of something on Netflix for 2 hours. And then ran a couple errands, and then I came back to work some more. So for me, it's somewhat a mental thing where I can separate work and home. I have a company vehicle that's, depending on the weather, I mean, even though it's half a mile, I mean, we get a lot of snow. So it's a Suburban 4-wheel drive. So sometimes I'll bring that home. Otherwise, we'll leave the Suburban here, and I'll drive my personal car here and my personal car home. It's like I'm driving to work, but it's a 2-minute ride. And here, with it being a house, we have extra utility in the fact of living space. I'm on carpet right now. You know, we mostly take our shoes off inside. There's a kitchen with a fridge and a stove and a sink. There's 2 bathrooms. In the closet of the office, it's a really big walk-in closet. I have a sleeping pad, a blanket, and a pillow for if I want to take a nap.
Yeah, I found that it was a mental thing for me too.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk more about retail. So what do you think about sales rank, and how important is it to make your buying decisions?
Sales rank is bullshit. Mere sales rank alone, because people are like, I don't buy over 50,000, blah, blah, blah. Mere sales rank alone is a number. It's bullshit. Even more bullshit is the sales rank charts, which I will not go into. But what sales rank is a reflection of the current moment in time. If something is ranked 10,000, at the current moment in time, it means that there are 999,000 products in the category selling at a higher velocity at the current moment in time. But rank changes by the hour on Amazon. So on Amazon, unless it stays consistent at one rank, like number 1 or 2 or something in the low where it can stay steady, rank is going to change 24 times a day. So what you have to do is you have to look at the Kiva. You have to look at how it changes. It goes, it'll go up, down, up, down, up, down. You want to see how often that changes to guesstimate how many sales there are. With some things you can actually count. I mean, with that peanut butter or whatever, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 sales, and that's it. But when it sells more frequently, it's a little blurrier, but when it gets blurry, you can tell that it's selling more than just a couple times. But more so than that, you also have to factor in competition for the buy box. And the fact that 10 to 20% of the sales don't actually come from the buy box. Now, they could still come to you, even if you're with the buy box, they click on see all and they still go with you, but they could go with someone else. Just recently, Amazon made it so that even if you're winning the buy box, if you're not the cheapest person, there's going to be a disclaimer that says you could get it for less from someone else or whatever. I'm not sure the exact vernacular, but I've seen it a few times in just the last couple of days. So you have to, if there's 3 people all sharing the buy box, you're going to get roughly a third of the sales, less 10 or 20% of them. But even that isn't perfect, because there's 3 sellers and you have a way better metrics or whatnot. There could be a difference. What I've seen though is once you're over 100 feedback or so, it doesn't seem to matter as much. At least with used books, which are the most chaotic. I know a lot of people, you know what I'm talking about with that. I don't deal with used books anymore. It got way too chaotic. Thank you, Amazon warehouse deals. But with the buy box and the competition for the buy box, it's uneven though due to factors such as proximity to the warehouse. There's one of my replens, and I make like $2 now. I used to make like $7 with a third of the sellers. There were 4 sellers, and I was one of the four FBA sellers. I was getting 43% of the buy box because everyone else had only 10 or 20 units or was on back order. I always had at least 100 units at the warehouse, which only about a 2-week supply. But with over 100 at the warehouse, I was closer to the buyers. So being closer to the buyers, Amazon's more likely to give you the buy box because they save on shipping to the customer. So if you can have more inventory at FBA, your buy box percentage will typically be higher, which will result in more sales. So it all ties into rank, which is the velocity divided by the competition, or not really competition factoring that, but the distribution of competition, I would call it. So from Dixon going to, hey, what do you think about rank? I've gone into this long spiel, and to show everything is on a case-by-case basis.
No. How important is being in stock and having enough stock?
You have to stay in stock with stuff. If you're doing PL and you run out of stock, your rank suffers. With normal items with those other people, by running out of stock, the only thing that you lose out on is profit. It's not the end of the world if you run out of stock, but the more stock you have, the better the buy box percentage. The better the buy box percentage, the more sales you make. The more sales you make, the more profit you make, assuming that it's a profitable item. You don't want to make sales when you're losing money. You can't make up for a loss of profit in volume. Although some people seem to definitely try.
Are there any scenarios where, when there's more competition that jumps in, you will break off? Maybe do you do bundling? Like if a product is, you've gone from $7 profit to $2 profit, do you try to do something else with the listing?
Not really. I hate recalling inventory. I have enough of that already. But what I'll do, like there was an item with a retailer that it's covered by TA. They have really good sales. And so they had a really good sale. I bought like 200 of this product. And it was like buy for 5, sell for 17. All of a sudden, the retailer comes on with the sale. As soon as my inventory gets there, they have the same item for $3. And there's already enough FBA sellers on the listing. I tank it down to $10. I'm making $1, but the people at 3, they're not gonna, no further people hopped on. And I was able to not lose money, get my money back, and prevent a ton of people from hopping on. It's kind of a scorched earth policy. There was a video posted by a guru, a private label guru, where he went on, he went to an old store he used to do, and he outed a ton of stuff. And I know one of the sellers that was there, and he did the exact same thing. He priced everything at break even, and then once the heat went away, he priced it back up. And so that's what I was able to do once the sale went back. A few people followed me, but they didn't have as much inventory as me. So I was able to get the price back to $15. Whereas if we get a ton of people buying for $3 to sell for 17, like it originally looked like, it would have been a bloodbath of new competition.
So, do you have a repricer, and how often do you reprice?
I don't have a repricer.
And why is that?
I've seen repricers, and honestly, it just seems to race to the bottom. I'll follow people, but I don't want to race. Even if I'm setting a penny above, I mean, people are still interacting with each other and all that. So I reprice intelligently. There's a lot of times I'll sit on something, be a couple days, be it a month, But I like to be very intelligent with my repricing decisions, and I just haven't found an intelligent enough repricer. And everything with Amazon, whether it be rank or what I want to sell things at, everything is on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, we have a question from Pedro. He asks, how many unique SKUs do you have in video games?
In video games, I'm really low on it right now. I haven't sourced a video game since December. I was on the road for 9 days straight in January, and then was away for another 4 days. And I was gone for half of January and beginning of February. I've mostly been focusing on refunds. I'm going to pull up my inventory lab and see if I can sort by category. I'm not sure if that's possible. I know with Amazon you can look at it. I currently have 300 active SKUs at Amazon, with a ton more on the way. But if I go to my FBA, and I guess FBA doesn't tell you. Well, it tells me my category profitability. Whereas if I pull it up,
It's okay. You can probably find it later and post it as a comment.
It's been over the last month. It's been 3% of my revenue. So
Okay.
assuming
I
rough.
hope that helps, Pedro.
So I might have 10. I don't have a lot of video games right now. Most of them I get with RA, and I've been just hitting the wholesale and the OA refunds really hard. And I'll go on some silly road trip or something probably later this month and find a ton. I'm always going on silly road trips.
What would you say your breakdown in terms of like the different selling models on Amazon are? RAOA wholesale?
Right now I'm probably 10% RA. It'll be going up 10, 15% wholesale, and the rest 70-ish% is OA. And about 70% of all of it is health, beauty, and grocery.
Are you using any VAs right now?
I'm not. When my preppers get, if they finish the day early, like they prep everything, there's nothing to do. They're still they're 1099 because they set their own schedules. Most of the time, I'm not even around for them to directly supervise or anything. If they still want to, get hours or whatnot, they can sift through some TA data. There's always TA data for them to sift through. So, and then they're a little bit more intelligent than say a foreign VA in a lot of cases. Just taking a look at things, when things, like the photo might be the same, but they're really quick to, notice if it's, 16 ounces instead of 8 or things like that, which I found. And for the money I'm paying them and the data that they're able to sift, it's worth what I'm paying them. They sift through it all, and then there's, 7 profitable products remaining, and, they work for an hour or something. I consider it a win.
Do you have any?
Too much now. What?
Do you have any systems in place on how to do OA? So I know you mainly use Tactical Arbitrage TA, but do you have a schedule saying like, hey, on every Monday we're going to scan Walmart, and every Tuesday we're going to scan Target, or whatever it is?
Well, no, I really don't. What I do though is every morning, I'm not using Forecastly or anything. I'm using the built-in Amazon tool. Every morning I take a look at Amazon's recommended, what they're saying I'm really low on and that I need to refill today. And then I make the orders. And so everything comes in. It's a rough system, but it is pretty much just in time that I operate on with a little leeway. I'll do that every morning. Other than that, I follow the sales or what I feel like doing. So there's not, it's largely based on my email and manually checking websites that I like to see what sales are going on. So I focus it among the sales. I'll, run bulk lists or have, reverse searches of the top 100,000 or storefronts running, and then I'll hit those as here and there. But a lot of the times with the sales, it might just be a 10% off sale, but it's a little cheaper for me to get my foot in the door on potential refunds. And then with it not being 10% off, when I come to see, I make my decisions then. Is 10% going to make it or break it for me?
Okay. What's the minimum quantity you would buy of something?
With OA, it's 6, and that's to test or replan. Otherwise, I like to buy at least a dozen, if not more at a time. I buy Some people do things in 18s, but to keep it going to one warehouse. But all my stuff goes to one warehouse anyway, to Joliet. So I buy things often in dozens. I don't know. It's just something I do. 12, 24, 48. I do some 36, but I oftentimes jump from 24 to 48, assuming the retailer allows it. I mean, some things are 10, 20, 30, or it's whatever threshold. I mean, if I don't want to buy a ton of them, I'll buy whatever it takes to get free shipping. I put everything into a buy list spreadsheet, and if possible, I like to keep SKUs, different products, segregated by order. Each order is only one product, and however many that product is. But sometimes I'll have to put multiple things in to get free shipping, depending on the retailer. But if it's a retailer that charges a reasonable amount of shipping based upon the weight of the items, and not like any other surcharges, I'll still break it up so that I can accurately account for the shipping into the buy cost.
There reminds me of something you said that was very interesting. For most of us, at least for myself, I think we tend to always shoot for free shipping, no matter the cost. But you've talked about paying for shipping at certain times. Do you want to touch more?
Oh yeah, there's some retailers. If it's cheap enough to get it quicker, and if I'm gonna buy 100 of something or spend a lot of money, and it's $5 or $10 or $20 or something small to get $1,000 or 100 of something the next day or 2 days from now, as opposed to a week. I'll spend the money on it. That way I can get it to Amazon faster. If it's a sale, I can beat other people to Amazon and get started selling in the first place and get my stuff distributed to the warehouses quicker. And it's better for cash flow too.
When you're going out and doing RA, like, is there a specific strategy that you're following? Do you go to, obviously you've been doing this for a little while, so I imagine you have, your main stores that you source at. But let's say you're going to a new place. Do you look online first? Do you see if there's deals? Or you just go in and you just scan?
Oftentimes I'll just run in and scan. Oftentimes I'll go through the perimeter and check all the end caps, and then I'll look into the aisles. So I won't go through every aisle. I just look at what's interesting. I find a lot of stuff like, I've never seen that before, or that looks weird, or that looks cool, or that looks really cheap, or that tag is red. Yeah. That's kind of what I go off of. It's a treasure hunt.
That's kind of the same strategy that I employed every time I go to ASD. It's like, well, yeah, I know there's going to be a ton of Amazon sellers there, so I'm going to go there with the mind frame like, okay, I look at items where I have no idea what they are, and that to me presents an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Now, unless you're doing closeouts, you want to know what you're dealing with closeouts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be going to ASD if anyone's going there. I'll be throwing a meetup, but I'm looking forward to it. Get away from this. It'll be like a week and a half after Great North.
Yeah.
So it'll be after all the cold and everything. But I'll be going hopefully as a brick and mortar seller.
So are you opening a brick and mortar store?
I will be. That's one of the criteria for the warehouse I'm getting.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
I won't lie. If they're like, do you sell on Amazon? I'll say yes, but that's only one of the platforms we sell on. I'll be doing it all under a new corporate entity. It'll be, I don't know. I'll be able to basically double my corporate credit cards, get some more bonuses, get more stuff. With things that report to my personal credit, have a far more spending limit. It'll improve my personal credit ultimately, and then it will diversify risk. I'll keep my RA and OA will be segregated from my wholesale.
Okay.
While we're talking about ASD, do you want to so ASD is basically just a giant place where a lot of wholesalers and manufacturers come.
It's like a flea market for Amazon sellers.
Yeah.
On crack. And other sellers, brick and mortar sellers, convenience store owners, people that have Shopifys, people that do PL. They have everything from the various smoking paraphernalia to shampoo closeouts. Yeah. Assuming they still have Culture Plus.
I think so.
Okay.
Do you want to give people, because it is coming up very soon in just, I think, 5 weeks or so. So I know there's been
I'm leaving a month from today.
you're what?
I'm leaving on the 8th of March.
Oh.
It's from I believe the 11th to the 14th,
Oh,
but I'll
okay,
be
okay.
leaving on the 8th, be in there till the 15th.
Okay.
We got a discount on the Airbnb if we got it for an entire week.
So a lot of there's a lot of chatter in our forum about it, in our group
Mhm.
about it. Also there will be, a lot of people that are new. Do you want to give
Oh.
people some tips on walking the ASD floor?
I go for the networking. So,
Hey,
uh,
same here.
no, I've never made a purchase of the show. So I walk around. I get the badge. That badge will get you into at least 2 free parties. We got into the whatever nightclub is at Caesar's Palace. It was far too loud, so we got our drink. We got out. We got our free drink, and we got out. It wasn't worth standing in line for half an hour. But there's other things. I mean, there's some casinos apparently the badge gets you free spins or free credits. Sometime in Fremont, you got $20. I didn't go to it, but just having the badge, there's free perks,
Hmm.
and there's just cool stuff to see. Walking, seeing all the different apparel and American Express is there. So if you want to, I don't know if you can apply as a Canadian there, but they do have a booth for signing up for the gold, plum, and platinum. I have all 3 of those now, so the booth does nothing for me. But if you say you're already a card holder, they'll give you some free swag. I got this big tote bag that was like this big, and it says "Shop small and carry a big bag." So that I thought was really cool, and so I was putting flyers and brochures and stuff into it. I'll probably bring it again, just for the fun of it. It's a really, really big bag.
I think
Half of,
I think 2 years ago was ASD the first time I ever went to ASD. I didn't make any purchases, but I did go to Ryan's party. That's where I met you, and
okay,
you're right.
all right.
That's the
Was
networking
this in
that I
March?
made there. Yeah,
Was this? That's where I met you in the bathroom, right?
yeah, yeah. Okay, Tyler, let's clarify that now. But Tyler and I,
The beer was in the tub.
yes, yeah. So there was like 10, 15 people in the bathroom. It wasn't just me
It
and
was a
Tyler.
really big
Hey,
bathroom.
Tyler. It wasn't like that at all. So, but yeah, no, I like that. Going to a conference or going to ASD, something like that is a lot of it is the networking. A lot of it is
Yeah,
a lot of the gold that you pick up happens in conversations when you're at a party, when people have had a couple of drinks, and then you
yeah.
can pick up some really good stuff.
It was
Yeah.
that. No, it was that night, and then the next night there was the Slamins party I went to. And after the Slamins party, I ended up staying up until 8 a.m. playing Pai Gow with a couple other sellers. After a night of dancing and eating breakfast at this place at 4 a.m. and just having a ton of fun. That was my best memory from that ASD was the networking at 7 a.m. at a Pai Gow table was just great.
Yeah.
So a lot of people talk about going to conferences and then networking, but can you give us actual examples of certain things that you picked up, things you applied, how it has changed your business?
Okay, so I went to the first conference I went to was the Rocky Mountain Reseller Conference. I was convinced into it like a week before it happened. Travis Ross was like, "I want you to be there, Tyler. I want you to be there." I'm like, if I can find a house sitter, I'll do it. I found a house sitter, and then he ended up prepping for me for a couple months, which was really sweet. And so I went, and I met another seller there, and I met some other sellers there, and then from that meeting them, we formed a mastermind, which you are in, Dixon, and so it was November 2016. I saw someone tagged me in this really weird grocery item in this group about anarchists and cuisine, a really weird group that I'm in. And they're like, "Tyler, is this something you could sell on Amazon?" I look it up, and I'm like, I can't find where to buy this, but it's just a seasonal candy item, and people are paying a ridiculous amount of money for it. So I put it to the ninja group, this mastermind, and one of the guys is like, "Yep, take that down, and I'll split it with you because I found the wholesale." So I found the item, he found the wholesale. We got the item for $3, sold them for $15. We bought out the manufacturer of the remaining supply. We each got about 600 units that we bought for $3 and sold for $15. And we sold out in about a week.
Wow.
So we each made $3,000 or $4,000 off of basically something that started from us meeting at a conference. And since then we've done other deals. So if people that are gonna if you're gonna share deals with people, and you want to meet people to do deals with, you want to go to in-person events. I've done a few deals with Dixon, but nothing to the scale. I mean, I would do something to that scale now that I've met him. But before meeting him, all I did was buy 5 items that he was restricted on that he shipped across the border for me, which that was pretty cool when he did that.
I think that's one of the best things about networking is that you really never know where it's going to end up. It's like planting seeds, right? You just plant as many seeds.
I won't do a deal over $1,000 with anyone I haven't met in person. So that's my cutoff. I want to meet someone in person before I do a significant deal. I mean, if it was the right deal, I would even get a hop on a plane to meet the person. And I've like hopped on a plane with Amazon for just some weird stuff. Last April, one of my friends who I met for the first time also at ASD in March, when he got back, his house burned. Like the day he got back, or a day after he got back from ASD, his house burned down. And so a few weeks later, there was a benefit for his family, for him and his family, to help raise money for it. And I hopped on a plane to go to the benefit and surprised him. And then had a lot of fun over a couple days out in Pennsylvania. So meeting people in person has spawned some really fun, really weird things. I mean, meeting Chris Anderson, the adventures that we have gone on. He was just out here last weekend. He came up to for a Super Bowl party, and we watched the Super Bowl at another seller's house. And I brought my prep out to it. It was a lot of fun. So just, I mean, some of my best friends are Amazon sellers.
Yeah. And yeah, that's what you get when you do the face-to-face. So, we're all in a vacuum. We're behind the screens all day long, and we don't talk.
And with the face-to-face now, we have you and Dixon throwing a conference as a result of you guys networking in person.
Yeah.
So it's the networking in person. It goes beyond RA. I mean, I share a lot of bolos with other sellers, but for people that I've met in person and then share wholesale with is really unique. I mean, sometimes the RA and the OA can be bigger than wholesale. I mean, I didn't know what an LOL big surprise was until I was told about it. And so I'm walking through Walmart. I sent a photo, put it into the group chat. Should I buy this? Is this what you guys were talking about? And there was a ton of them. And another guy's like, well, if you buy them, I'll take them even. And I bought them, and I was able to get approved to sell them. But and then I ended up selling a total of 140 of them. I found out about fingerlings too from them back in August.
Yeah.
Before most people knew what the fingerlings were, I was buying them up. I was buying out every single store in North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, and Missouri while on a road trip from Minot. The first Walmart of the day after just going to a UPS store with the previous day's haul. We had to rent a trailer because we found so much stuff. And then that day we sourced 20 hours straight.
Wow.
So it's all due to meeting Chris in person while on my way to a camping trip in New Hampshire 2 years ago. So it's the meeting people in person that if you want to take Amazon seriously, you have to take the networking seriously. And to take the networking seriously, you have to show up to events. Yeah. You have to show up to conferences. You don't have to go to them all. But I mean, if you're in Canada, start with Great North. You don't need a passport to get into it. Which I don't think there's a visa to get into Canada or to get from Canada to the US.
No.
I don't need. I have my tickets booked, so I don't need a visa then. I did look up the regulations. I'm allowed to bring up to 20 kilograms of cheese into the country. So if anyone wants cheese, let me know, and I'll bring some. I'll probably bring half a carry-on or so of it. I did that at the ASD in March. I I brought 17 pounds of cheese to ASD.
What?
I just want to I just want to share a story about this mentorship group that you're talking about, because me and Tyler, we're in this mentorship group and we share almost everything that we buy. And if
a large part of it.
a large part of it. And when you build relationships like that, like, everyone wins because everyone makes money. No one is, you don't include sort of the newer sellers who are tight on cash flow and are going to be your tankers. And being in Canada, I had a very unique advantage. Like, going back to the LOL dolls and the fingerlings, right? When I was seeing them post in the US group, I was like, okay, like, I need to be on the lookout for this. And when it came out in Canada a couple months later, because we're way behind, I was the first one buying them. I made the list for that stuff. And so, like, I was the only one selling them, and I was selling through tons of them. So it's stuff like that relationship building gets you, and that's why you need to meet these people face to face.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that party that I was at Ryan's place. After you get out of the elevator, you're walking down this. It's at the very end of the hall, so it's a long corridor, and I didn't know anyone. It was my first time ever going to ASD. I didn't really make a whole ton of connections. I was just, I'm going to go to ASD. Ended up going to the party, and I was walking down the hall, thinking to myself, "Damn, should I go back to the elevator? I don't know anybody. What the hell am I doing here?" But walking through those doors, one of the best things I did. Made some really good friendships with people, and you just never know where meeting someone face to face will take you.
Yeah, that was a fun party, but I'm hoping to throw the best party ever without getting the cops called. Chris and I were doing a superhero sellers thing. Might be combining with Charles Leslie for a / Rockstars thing. We're not sure yet. He'll for the few days that he'll be staying at our Airbnb.
Oh, cool.
But it'll be a lot of fun. I'm bringing all 3 of my preppers with as like a post Q4. Just a post Q4 like party, like vacation sort of thing. But they definitely earned it all.
So are you also volunteering yourself at the Great North to hold like a hotel party or something? Is that what's...
I did book a suite.
Okay, sweet.
It was like $35 more a night or something. It was through Amex Travel. It was like 130-ish a night. It was cheap. I'd have to look at the exact number I paid, but it was I did it for the first time at Midwest Econ, got the suite, and it was totally worth it. Dixon was there. He saw that. He could have stayed at it if he had talked with me instead of booking a room last minute. His last minute room cost as much as the suite. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Tyler convinced me to go last minute.
It was worth it, wasn't it?
Yeah, very worth it.
And that was where I got to meet Dixon.
What other conferences are you going to this year?
Rocky Mountain. There will be Midwest in July. I'll probably also be speaking at that. There will be ASD, the second one of the year, end of July, beginning of August. In 2016, I went to Ecom Chicago in October. I wasn't able to go this past year because it conflicted with the Rockstars cruise. But the Rockstars cruise was a lot of fun. Getting to speak and network in the Bahamas was really cool.
Are you looking to do more speaking engagements this year? Well,
I take them as I get asked. I don't really search them out. It's an honor to be able to help people in the community with the speaking engagements, and getting to go to a conference for free is always nice. It's just a lot of fun. I take them as I get them, but I'm not seeking them out. It was nice when Dixon asked me if I wanted to. So I'll be tailoring my arbitrage presentation to a bit of Canadian twang. I mean, I haven't lived in Canada, but I have sourced from it while on the Alaska-Canada highway a couple of years ago. It was fun. I only had Walmart Wi-Fi though, which in some places it would work for about 30 seconds, and then I'd have to reconnect. So I was able to scan one thing, I'd reconnect, scan another thing, reconnect. Yeah. It was mostly video games I was sourcing, but having a mental bullet list of something like video games definitely helps, because I'm like, I know that game, I know I don't have to scan it, and put them all into my cart. But the 13% tax is brutal. But I think you guys can get that back.
Yeah, we do.
I
It's
couldn't.
also Canadian dollars, so it probably doesn't hurt your American pocket.
No, I mean, because my American dollars are worth 20% more.
Yeah.
And with Amex, there's no foreign transaction fees, which is nice. But if any of you Canadians want to come down here, you're welcome to come do some RA in America. You can prep from my prep house if you're not a total stranger. I want to at least know who you are before you come to the prep house. I'm still trying to get Dixon to come down. I almost got you down for that Christmas party.
I'll be down there one day. Don't worry.
You gotta come down here.
If anyone's watching and you guys have questions for Tyler, post them somewhere and we'll give it to him. But let's get into some weird questions. Tell me something you know to be true, but nobody else agrees with you on.
Taxation is theft.
Okay, what's one routine or behavior that you do that people think it's weird or crazy?
Bringing cheese to conferences.
That's a good answer.
I
flew with the March ASD. I literally flew with a cooler of beer and cheese to get there. And I had more cheese in my car.
Tyler's pretty crazy about his cheese. If you ever meet him, he can talk for hours.
That's BS. But I do have a ranking of the best places to get fried cheese curds here in the town I live.
Yeah, you need to go have some poutine.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the poutine. Because I've looked for it around here because I've heard it's amazing. There's no place around here that has it. Well, what's the best beer to pair with poutine?
I have no idea.
Sorry, can't.
Someone knows.
I'm neither a cheese eater.
Come on, guys, audience, someone knows. Okay. What purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life?
I would say a Dymo.
Yes. For
everyone who Inventory Lab. I didn't start using Inventory Lab and a Dymo until July of 2016, because Chris Anderson got me into selling bras. I'm like, well, I have 40 bras here. 4 of them of the same color. Apparently with the 30 ups, it was cutting it off. I couldn't see what size it was. So I'm like, it's like maiden form, whatever, pink. I can't see if it's a C or a D or whatever it is. So with Inventory Lab, you spit out the stickers as you create the listing and you're good to go. And then the cost of goods too. I don't have to BS at the end of the year what I had for cost of goods unsold.
Yeah.
So, by BS, I mean do the math on an Excel spreadsheet and everything compliant with the tax man. But it makes life so much easier. Save time creating shipments. Yeah. I know where it's going. You don't have to create the listing, create all the listings or whatever, put it into FBA, give it the number of them, press continue, get all the warehouses, print the labels, sticker the items. You take it, prep it, put it in, sticker it, throw it in the box. It takes half the time.
If you're doing any decent volume on .com, you should really have Inventory Labs with the Dymo. Mm-hmm. There's no question. The Excel thing is a nightmare. Yeah.
I see Mike asking if I pull slow-moving inventory. I'm looking at about $60 in long-term storage fees, so it's not something I'm concerning myself with. I try to run everything just in time if possible. The thing I'm looking at the fees on is something about 1,000 of. It's ranked really well in toys, but it still takes a lot of time to sell 1,000 of something. So, but it's smaller than a deck of cards. Each item is smaller than a deck of cards, so there's hardly any fees. I mean, the fees on like 500 of them is like $60. So it's not something I really concern myself with. Any other questions or anything?
I just want to be mindful of time. We've just reached past the hour mark. Do you want to give people just a quick snippet of what your talk's going to be about at the conference?
All right, at the conference, I'll be speaking on the Arbitrage Survival Guide, Canadian edition. I don't know everything about shipping from Canada and whatnot, but I'm going to talk about the sourcing and how to make the most of their sourcing, especially from because I've been in a very similar position with Alaska. Target wanted to charge $4 per video game to ship to me for a video game. So you buy 5 video games, it's $20. It would have gone. I mean, even paying normal price would have been $6 for me to ship them. So I've been in a similar position. I haven't used Prep Center, so I really won't speak to that, but I'll speak to sourcing and basically how to elevate your sourcing and other aspects that people don't always consider in arbitrage or just selling in general. I hope everyone, regardless of what they sell, can get something out of my presentation.
Okay, cool. Ken has a question.
Okay.
How do you find the reshipping to other warehouse costs since you're only shipping to one warehouse?
I don't know the transfers. I don't have to pay to reship that.
Yeah, he's not using inventory placement.
No, I'm not using inventory placement. Due to the volume that I'm doing, in the last 6 months, we've had maybe 2 individual days where Amazon wanted anything to go to another warehouse for standard size units. And in that case, we adjusted it wanted one, we're shipping a dozen of something. It wants 11 to Joliet and 1 to another, where we update the quantity to 13, and then don't give consent for the new warehouse and inventory lab, which is another thing with inventory labs. You can play around with the warehouse a little bit while being TOS compliant. So I haven't had to pay any reshipping costs. I don't use inventory placement. If I did, I would get eaten alive in fees. But that I don't have to worry about inventory placement. And it's Joliet's only 2 days away, so things get checked in really quickly. But I'm actually looking at warehouse options that would bring me only 1 day away to get my stuff in even faster and to accelerate my cash flow even more, on top of daily payouts, which is also really nice.
Are you selling on .ca at all?
I'm not. I have enough issues dealing with the American government and America Seller Central, and
I don't blame you anyway.
I have a long ways to go before I start selling internationally. I'm not even really actively selling on eBay yet. One of my 2018 goals is to do 6 figures of sales off of Amazon, which I'm $100,000 away from hitting that goal. I haven't sold anything off of Amazon.
It's a good goal to have, though. I think it's just becomes more and more important every day that you try to get some sales off of this platform.
Yeah. Once we get into a warehouse, I'm hoping to be doing Jet, Walmart, and eBay. Plus whatever sales we can get out of the brick and mortar. I'm hoping that the brick and mortar sales will be enough to keep the lights on, just to cover the overhead of the building. But I don't even know how much that's going to be yet. I've driven about 1,000 miles over the last couple of weeks just looking at warehouses across the state.
Wow. Are you planning to move to a LTL only model?
No. I mean, most of what I'm selling is small and light, but there's just certain things that I've encountered where either it would cost half to ship to me, it would be half the price to ship to me, and due to the proximity to the place, it wouldn't be any time difference in UPS, and then it would cost half as much to ship to Amazon. So ultimately, the shipping would be cut in half. And there's other items that aren't feasible with UPS, but are feasible with LTL. A lot of very, very heavy, very, very boring things I've come across.
I see. Okay, I'm just looking at our chat, and it doesn't seem like we have any more questions. So
okay.
I want to thank you for coming, Tyler.
Well, thank you for having me on. I look forward to seeing you guys in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you very, very soon here.
All right. Have a great night, everyone.
Take care. Thanks, Tyler.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.